Imagine there was a tornado.
Welcome into the KCTV5 Live Desk. I'm Katie Bird, joined with Gianni Navarro. We're tracking breaking news right here in the KCTV5 newsroom. Just about an hour and a half ago, Worlds of Fun was evacuated. There were reports of suspicion of shots fired. Since then, police have found no weapons and no indication of a shooting. Gianni,
Yeah, we actually have Jenny and Violet, who were there at Worlds of Fun as this was all unfolding. Jenny, Violet, so glad you guys are okay, and thank you so much for joining us this evening. Can you take us into those moments? What did you see and what did you hear?
We were literally walking past the Mamba. There was like a fight that was kind of outbreaking.
And then we were almost going on the ride. We were almost on the ride. And then the employee was like, get out.
He can't, we were about to ride. Well, first there was a fight, and there was a lot of cops there breaking up a fight. We were kind of at the tail end, and then we went over to the Zambezi Zinger. We waited in line for about 30 minutes. We got on the ride. Literally, right when we were putting our seatbelts down, some guy, or not some guy, an employee came up and said, and he had this really distressed look on his face and said, everyone needs to evacuate right now. And then everyone just kind of like looks at each other like, what? And then we get up, everyone gets out, and they were like, they say walk, don't run. They didn't give us any details of what was happening.
Into a soda, and then everyone started running all the time, and I went into a soda shop, and I was like, everyone's on the ground because I didn't. Mom said she saw the woman that was having the seizure. I didn't see anything, so
There, we had to run into for shelter because there was like literally like hundreds of people sprinting at full speed down by the ripcord, and then we ran into the
tell us to get out. That was like a waste of time.
That was actually our decision. We got into the soda store because that's what looked like a safe place because they were shutting those metal doors, and there was a lady having a seizure on the ground. Everybody was like sardining on top of each other. And then eventually everybody was like, let's get out, go, go. And then we were running, and there was probably about 50 cops that ran by us.
When that happened, imagine imagine we were on the ride. That was
Such a sobering
they
moment.
would like probably have to like stop the ride, and it was like,
Violet,
Absolutely.
Violet, I'm sure being so young, and this might have been such a scary experience for you. Jenny, as a mother, I guess, what were your thoughts in those moments? Did you guys actually hear any bangs or any loud noise or shots that they're reporting? Suspicion of reports of shots?
No, we just heard through the chatter amongst the crowd that there was a shooter and there was people running.
I thought there was I
But
thought
we
like ride broke or something.
World of Fun is full of loud noises like at that time because it was the haunt, so we couldn't really decipher what was what.
When we were running to like, there was like.
This is her second shooting experience. She was at the Kansas City Chiefs parade, so it's unfortunate that she's 10 years old and this is her second experience going through a shooting. It's almost normalizing for her.
When we were running at full speed, there was a woman in front of us. Like she was with her $3,
Three daughters.
$3, and one of this daughter, like these daughter, like
She dropped her shoe.
then was like,
We're on TV. Uh, yeah, she said to forget the shoe. It was very traumatic. Everybody was running, and we were praying, and we were running, and it was. As a mom, been through this the second time, being someone who actually worked at Worlds of Fun when I was a teenager, I've always considered it a safe place. But I saw a bunch of teenagers with large backpacks in there tonight. I don't know how they got in there. That's probably a pretty important detail considering last year you couldn't even get into Worlds of Fun with a bag that's bigger than a fanny pack. So I don't know how these kids were able to get in there with huge backpacks, but there was a alarming amount of kids in there with big backpacks.
they had to like search it. Maybe I feel like it was one of those kids. Did anybody die?
And she asked me before the shooting happened, she literally asked me, has anyone brought a gun in here? And I said, I don't think so.
I'm a genius.
Yeah,
That was actually pretty crazy.
yeah, that's an unfortunate question that it's become so normalized. That's even a question that a child is asking their mother. That's very unfortunate. And I think you brought up a good point, a traumatizing point that your daughter, this is the second time that she was possibly involved in a shooting scenario with the Chiefs rally shooting, and then now this possibly. So,
This
I'm
is more crazy with the other one.
This was, even though we heard the shots at the last one, but this was just mass hysteria where everybody was running. The other one was, we weren't really near it, but I think we were pretty close to the incident, and I think we saw the people that were involved. There were several fights. I don't know if it was exactly them, but that was pretty.
I'm sorry, did you see the fights take place, or you said that you kind of were away from when it happened?
So there was like a bunch of cops surrounding these teenage boys. They did have backpacks.
They were by the bathrooms by the Mamba, and they were all kind of squabbling, arguing. By the time we showed up, there was at least 10 police officers over there, sheriffs, security guards, and they were all kind of kind of holding them back and like saying like, no, like holding them back. And then we were like, let's get out of here. And then we went down the hill thinking it was just a fight, no big deal. This is like the first haunt night of the year. And then we were in the line for no more than 30 minutes line. And then that's when they evacuated us. So it might have had something to do with it.
Like to the officer who was like,
certainly just so terrifying. So I'm curious, once you got out of the park, you saw the heavy police presence, hundreds of people evacuating. Could you kind of describe, the parking lot and that whole scene?
It was really congested. I wasn't quite, because my husband and our other daughter left earlier, so we were calling them on the phone to tell them to come pick us up.
I should have listened to my sister, because she was like, Sissy, please come with me back home. I don't feel good. And
yeah,
I was like,
should have listened to her.
Like, no, Willow, I want to stay here. And she was like, okay, bye, Sissy. And then they went home. And then I should have listened to Willow.
It happened within like 45 minutes after that, which is crazy.
It was a really incident.
The parking lot was just full. Everybody was trying to get out of there, and it was just like jam packed. There was just car, backed up car to car, and there was like 50 cops backed up, like trying to get in. Everybody was trying to get out.
I don't think
I heard people were like running into like breaking down fences and jumping over fences, which I thought about. I thought about jumping into the woods.
They have to like fix those fences. So people are like,
it seemed pretty scary to run with the crowd like that. But I just remember telling Violet, if you hear shots, get down and lay on the ground. Like that's.
But we weren't laying on the ground. We were already people on the ground. What did you want me to do? Like lay on top of them?
Certainly so terrifying.
You would get trampled if you stopped. You had to run because everybody was running behind.
This was the first night of Halloween haunt at Worlds of Fun, normally a day when people can go celebrate Halloween, experience the rides and everything that they have there, and to think that it ended in such scary moments. Gianni, and Violet, do you have anything else that you'd like to add?
Yeah. I feel bad for all those little kids that were there, and like I feel bad for all those little kids that were there. Their first day being at Worlds of Fun, super beautiful. Like those kids that like never been to Worlds of Fun ever in their life, and then it's like their first vacation, and they've never been to Worlds of Fun ever in their life, and it's like really excited for them. And then all of a sudden, it like what time was that? What time was it?
The last thing I was looking at was the clock. I don't
Certainly
know.
Basically,
so terrifying.
I feel bad for all the kids that experienced that.
Yeah, Jenny, anything else you want, Jenny, as a mother, anything else you want to say about what you experienced tonight?
I will say
something, Mom.
What?
Remember that little baby that we saw on the go-karts? I mean, not the go-karts, the taxis. I hope they left early.
Oh man, yeah, there was a lot of kids there tonight. I don't think I have anything else to add. Just that I've never felt unsafe at World's Fun before, but now I've always been we get season passes like every year since Violet was like a baby. So I'm really disappointed that they were letting people in with I don't know. There's metal detectors there. I don't know how this happened. But I don't really have anything else to add.
Check your bag.
Yeah.
Again, you guys, thanks so much for sitting down on the live desk and just to tell us about these very scary moments. Certainly, it sure is fresh for you guys still, and so glad everyone's okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a good night.
You too.
You too. Thank you. Bye-bye.
If you're just now joining us, Worlds of Fun was evacuated just about an hour and a half ago. At first, there were reports of shots fired. Multiple departments did arrive on the scene. You're looking at footage that our reporter Ryan Hennessy took in the moments as this was all unfolding. I'm joined here with KCTV5 anchor Gianni Navarro. We've been tracking this since we first received word in the newsroom. Gianni.
Yeah, absolutely terrifying moments, Katie, for anyone who was actually there. I know that we have reports that it was first reported by an off-duty officer that he heard reports of gunshots or what sounded like gunshots, and I think it's kind of difficult too because it is the first day of the Halloween haunt, so you don't know how to decipher different sounds, if the loud noises were gunshots or not. But we did also get reports that officers were breaking up multiple fights throughout the night, so I think that's very important to know. We obviously heard the accounts from Violet and her mom Jenny, and she was saying that they were seeing people with backpacks walking in, so she was very confused as to how people were kind of entering, because she said last year, I believe, that they were just had fanny packs allowed and to have large backpacks. Very confusing why there were so many kids allowed with backpacks in.
Gianni, and just to think about the time of year at Halloween Haunt, not only are there hundreds of people on the rides, but there are long lines, hours-long waits to get into these haunted houses. People are packed together in these little buildings, and to think that there may have been people walking around with backpacks, lots of teenagers, kids, maybe unaccompanied by adults, it certainly just paints a very scary picture. And we just heard from Violet and Jenny, her mother. They had just gotten home from those scary moments at Worlds of Fun.
And you can see that they were visibly both shaken up. And I think what's unfortunate is Violet seemed so young, and she seemed as if the situation had no effect on her. And I think that kind of really paints a really sad picture of our today's society, of how children are just expected to treat this as a normal situation. If there were shots ringing out at Worlds of Fun, definitely not a normal situation, definitely not okay. Of course, we have no reports of injuries, so really happy to hear that no one was injured. But of course, a scary situation, being on a ride and then having to be told to please take off your seatbelts, being evacuated.
100%, Gianni. I think you worded that perfectly. Children especially should never be desensitized to traumatic situations like this. And we have a lot of people in the comments here on Facebook asking questions, wondering what exactly happened. So I'm going to go ahead and direct our viewers to the KCTV5 website. This is where we will be tracking the latest updates and developments in this Worlds of Fun evacuation this evening. Again, the Kansas City Police Department confirmed that an off-duty officer received reports, a person heard the sound of possible gunshots. This was just after 9 p.m. And then, of course, KCPD surrounding agencies responded due to the large crowd size at the park. And while they were on scene, Gianni, as you mentioned earlier, multiple juveniles were fighting. They had to break up these disturbances. Here's a picture that our reporter Ryan Hennessy took while he was reporting from this. And Kansas City Police did let us know later on, just about an hour ago, there is no indication at this time that any shots were fired. We have a map here of Worlds of Fun, and again, Kansas City Police Department has confirmed that no injuries have been reported. We will be continuing to track this breaking news story here on the KCTV5 website. Gianni, thanks so much for joining us.
Of course, Katie.